and welcome back to our podcast, the I Know Nothing About Property podcast, and we are on episode 8. Now, every single time I mention what episode number it is, we always think, oh, can't believe we're in this episode now, but we'll be doing this until we hit episode 100, won't we, Harry?
Yeah. And I mean, hopefully episode 100 is soon. I mean, I reckon we should start cranking out episodes pretty soon.
Indeed. I have no doubt we're going to hit episode 100. That's going to be a milestone and a half that we'll be excited about that. So for those that are listening to us for the very first time, this is the I Know Nothing About Property podcast, where we discuss anything property, motivation related. And all we're doing here is sharing our knowledge and experience to help people that are starting out, and sharing our mistakes as well, so that no one else has to go through the same pain. And let's be honest, Harry, there has been quite a lot of them, haven't they?
Yeah, that the reason, the good thing about us sharing our mistakes is we're pretty sure we'll get to episode 100 quite quickly, because there has been quite a few, so we've got enough to talk about across this podcast.
That is a good point. In that case, we'll be hitting 1,000 very soon.
We've got to water it down. We couldn't do an episode on each mistake because we'd be every single day.
So what we're discussing today is personal development. Personal development, which is it's a huge topic, actually, especially for anyone who's in business. And in most cases, when people get started out in property, and we're talking about our own experiences, when you start out in property, go to a training event or you follow someone who's doing property, it's always like property related. You're only looking at strategies, you're only looking at what areas you're going to be looking for and which strategy you want to go for, how much money it'll make. But most of us actually get slowly steered towards personal development as we're running our businesses. So we wanted to talk about that in particular for anyone who's getting started as well, so you know about what we understand about personal development from our learnings, from our experience, and then you can also see if you can interlink the two from the start rather than actually be steered into it like we did. So what do we class as personal development? And these are just our wordings. Now, you can Google it and it will give up something else completely different. But personal development, from my point of view, is when you take care of yourself, as in worry about, as in my case, Muzzie, taking care of me, the things that I do to help me, the learnings, the healthy eating, everything that is required for me to be at my best. So if I look at myself as a machine to service myself, to be and perform in the best way, not just physically, but also mentally. So feed myself with information that will help me, not put me down. Feed myself food that will help me, not put me down. So anything that's related to taking care of me is partly personal development. What do you think, Harry?
I think personal development is something that a lot of people misjudge. A lot of people tend to class personal development as working on their business. And so many people invest so much time working on your business, and you put so much effort into working on your business and trying to grow it and make it better. And of course, that's okay. But what a lot of people don't do is they don't put even a fraction of the energy into working on themselves. And when you think about it like that, it's quite silly. It's unfair on yourself. It's unfair to yourself. I think you should be putting in a lot of time, because you've only got so much time on the earth. You don't want to be putting so much energy into your business and not get anything back to yourself. So personal development, as you said, it's not just sitting down reading books. It's actually looking after your body and developing your body, developing your mind, developing everything about you to the best it can be. We've only got so much time. One of my things I want to see in the future is I really want to see what is capable of my body, because everyone's capable of different things. I believe everyone is capable of different ways. Yes, you can be extraordinary in basically everything if you put the work in, but some people do it and have advantages just based on how they're born. But one thing I'm passionate about is finding out how far my body can go, how developed and what is the best version of me. And I
Yeah.
think that so many people invest time into their business trying to build the best business when they don't build the best version of themselves.
Absolutely, yeah, and that is so true. That is so true. And this is where we come back to the point where when you start out in property and you learn about these strategies, we focus so much on the strategies and the properties, the types of deals that you can find, which is the business, which is what you're talking about, how we fully focus on just the business, and we're not taking care of ourselves. Now, this is where you find people getting so stressed out because things aren't really working so well. Maybe because you've picked the wrong strategy for your personality, you've picked the wrong strategy for how you are. It doesn't align with who you are and how you operate, and then it becomes so difficult to engage, so difficult to continue with it, and you end up letting go of it, and that's where the failures come from. Now, the personal development aspect is getting to know you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get to understand who you are, you get to understand what works for you, and then align the business with you.
yeah,
So if you have that interconnection, and I believe it was, I'm gonna throw in another Jim Rohn one here, and that's no surprise as well, where he says that formal education will make you a living, but self education will make you a fortune. And this is just the case of the education that we get at school, college, university. That's classed as the formal education, what everyone else is expecting you to be doing. But getting to know you, and once you really understand you, not only will you start pushing towards the passion that aligns with you, but you also know what not to do because you understand that that is not aligned with me. And if you live a life, they use this word congruent. I haven't even Googled it. I'm not sure what it means, but but it sounds like the right thing to say. Like if you live a life that's congruent with what you are feeling, what you want to do, and is aligned with the business as well, that's more gonna synchronize with it with your success, and you'll be able to actually get closer to where you want to be easily without having to go against each other.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I watched a clip. Um, Again, I can't remember who it was who said it. It was on the Joe Rogan podcast, who is one of our, I'd say, one of our rivals. Like, I think we're going to be on the same level as him in the future. But I watched a clip, and Joe Rogan was interviewing someone, and they were talking about health. I know I'm going into health. I know this is property, but I just want to convey this because I feel it's really important. And he was saying about, imagine you're on a beach surrounded by everything you've ever wanted, all the money in the world, your own private beach, sun was shining, everything was lovely, except one thing. You had a bad throat. Now, no matter what happens that day, all you're thinking about is that throat. Yeah.
Mhm.
Every time you swallow, you can feel it in your throat and it's
Yeah,
annoying you, bugging you. So you may have everything in the world, but if you don't have health, you're not complete. It's still going to be annoying you, and you're still not going to be in the best mood because it's constantly there. And I think so many people, as you said, stress themselves out by working on all these strategies and knowing all these strategies,
mhm.
get to where they want to be with their business and aren't happy because they haven't invested in themselves and, like you said, got to know themselves
Yeah.
and realize what's important to them and realize what skills they want to develop, where they feel the best sense of achievement in themselves.
Exactly, exactly, and that's a very good point. Now, I know some people now will be thinking, oh, so I need to learn about property and all these strategies. Now, Muzzy and Harry are starting to tell me that I need to start learning about my health as well, and I'm not now need to worry about reading certain books. What would you say then, Harry, in terms of actually scheduling everything that you're doing in terms of business together with the personal development without having to focus on one and the other at the same time? How do you schedule it for yourself?
I think it's a real tricky one because I mean I love personal development. I feel like you should constantly be learning and constantly be perfecting yourself. But we all have businesses. We're all in property. We know how stressful it can be, and things pop up. Property is very, very reactive. I mean, especially me in your days, mate. But our days are just constantly reactive. We don't know what's going to happen each day. Everything changes all the time. So
Just expose us, Harry. Just
yeah.
expose us.
I mean, we do plan. Don't get us wrong, but it never goes to plan.
Yeah,
So
true.
you're constantly putting out fires. And something that I feel people really do neglect is they put out the fires and put out the fires. And if they don't have enough time to get everything they need to done, but had scheduled in, say, a session at the gym, or for half an hour now, I'm going to read a book, that's where most people sacrifice it.
Hmm.
That's when most people go, right, I've got this work to do, bugger the book, time
Yeah.
to get it done. That is where most people make the sacrifice. And that's something I struggle with. So with my personal development, I make sure that I find 5 days where I can go to the gym to work on my health, but then I also listen to an audiobook at the same time. And I find that really helps because then it's 2 hours into one.
Yeah.
It's double personal development. So it's only an hour a day. Now, I know sometimes it even is hard to schedule an hour a day, but mornings I tend to go for, because the mornings for me, I think it depends on what type of person you are as well. Mornings for me is the time where I can't be bothered to do work. Do you get me? I
Yeah.
get up in the mornings and I'm not really in the mood to just go out and just get up and smash it. I'm more of a, let me wake up 3 or 4 hours and then I want to go for it.
Yeah.
So in that morning time, that's where I try and schedule. But on the other hand, you could be the exact opposite. It could come to the night. You've done loads of work in the morning and you're too tired to do that workout or to listen to that audiobook. You just want to go to bed. Then switch it around. Do it in, wait, hang on. No, I've done it the other way around now, haven't I? But find out what type of person you are. And when I try to do it on my sort of energy lazy, when I can't be bothered to do work, I'll do a
Yeah.
workout, something like that, and it just makes you feel so much better.
Yeah, the book, the one of the books that I've read, one called The Productivity Project, and they speak about something called BPT, which is the biological prime time. And not many people actually understand that we all have a biological prime time, and it's usually about 2 to 3 hours where you naturally feel energetic.
Yeah,
That's your time. So there's people that say, oh, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. And you have people that are not morning people who are like, no, forget that. I'm a night owl. I work in the night. I feel better working in the night. I feel more energetic. We are all different. There's no right and wrong. And what this book says is you need to run an experiment. So what the guy who wrote the book did was he ran an experiment of a month where he didn't borrow energy. So when I say borrow energy, you know, when people drink coffee, drink energy drinks, that's
yeah.
borrowed energy. So that's not energy that you actually feel yourself. He actually drank water and had his food normally and under normal circumstances. And he sensed where he felt fully awake and he knew what that period was. And then you align the really difficult tasks into that period.
Have you done it?
I haven't. I already know my prime time. To be fair, I'm a morning person, and I think if I were to actually run that experiment, that's probably what it will reveal. I'm a morning person. I feel groggy in the afternoon, and in the night I just want to sleep.
Yeah,
So mornings is when I feel super energetic. That's why I do my jogs and work out in the mornings because
yeah.
that's my time. Now, if you understand when your prime time is, that's when you can actually slot some of these in. And I know you do the same as me, Harry, where you, like you've mentioned, you reduce the 2 hours into one because you combine two activities.
Yeah.
In terms of reading books and working out and stuff like that. So if you can do a workout, you can do the workout and read at the same time. Or if 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 reading is something you're going to struggle with, you can listen to books. And this is other people don't actually realize you can listen to a book rather than actually sit down and physically read it. And
Yeah.
there's a few people who say, well, if I listen to a book, then I don't fully concentrate because I'm usually doing something else. It's actually quicker to listen to a book 3 or 4 times whilst you're doing it something than try to schedule physically reading a book once every 3 months.
Yeah, well, I guess it is when you read your books on 1.6 speed or something like that. But I've only got to 1.2 and I struggle there. But yeah, that is true. As you said, it
True,
is.
yeah. So when you drive to go to work or you drive wherever you actually go to, turn your car into a library because you can listen to your books. When you even if you're riding a bus, you can turn that bus ride to wherever you're going into a library whilst
Yeah,
you're traveling, and actually once in a while switch songs for a book. And you can actually pick up some information as you do that. And like we said, personal development, from my point of view, is learning about you and also developing you. So understanding who you are and where you are at a certain level, even if it's a level of intellect. If you want to increase that level of intellect, it's only going to come externally. So
yeah.
you need to read and learn from other people who have surpassed your level of intellect. You need to understand all of that and speak to people that have surpassed your level of intellect and learn. And that's the only way that you personally develop. And that's how we do it in terms of reading books. We actually just listen to Audible.
I mean, I want to say 2 points here. I mean, I traveled up to meet you 2 days ago,
Yeah.
and I went to Northampton as well from Swansea. So I was on the road for about 8 hours, and I got two, I think 2.5 books in that time,
Mm.
on Audible. And did I get all the information? No,
Of
because
course
I
not.
mean,
Yeah.
something would interest me. I'd see, I don't know, a truck on the road, and I'd be staring at that for 10 minutes. Just something would interest me. But did I get a decent amount of information? Yes. I mean, I came up, and first thing I said to you was, "Mate, you've got to read this book,"
Mhm.
and I told you some of the key points. But as you said, you can listen to them again. It's like watching films over and over and again. Some people really don't like doing it, but once you start it, you're like, I forgot that bit. I forgot this bit was in here. I forgot this bit, and it re-triggers your memory. I
Yeah.
also want to say that if you really, really, really hate listening to books, yeah, hate listening to books, hate reading books, there's an app piece of kit called Mentorbox. So if this podcast blows up, I want sponsorship by Mentorbox, but there's an app called Mentorbox, and it's quite simple. It's books condensed into about 20 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. There's some really good
Summary.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've got the video on there as well. So what I did was I just put 30 minutes a day. I put the video up, watch the video for 30 minutes a day, but I'd watch the same book for a week, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. And they give you little tasks to do. So like memorization, clips, PDFs and stuff like that. You can fill in. I found that really good. But what I found that did for me was it allowed me to then transition and go, right, I've listened to this for half hour each day. Now I'm comfortable with listening to things. I can listen to the full book. And if
Yeah.
I didn't do that, I wouldn't be listening to books as much as I do now.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And you have to pace yourself. If it's something that you've never done before and it doesn't quite resonate with you, you have to pace yourself. And in terms of what you're saying in reading books, I don't actually aim to read a book and understand 100% of it. I don't think that's possible, especially
Yeah,
if you're actually listening to a book whilst you're doing something else. It's not possible to get 100% of it.
yeah,
We've in property, especially for anyone who is probably listening to this, you might have heard of the book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the more times that people actually listen to that book or read it, I've heard it, I've experienced it, but I've actually heard it from loads of people who say even the fourth or fifth time that I read it or listen to it, I pick up something that I didn't pick up before.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
we do that, and I do that every time I actually read that book. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that, because at the time it doesn't resonate with you.
yeah,
It doesn't quite click. It doesn't quite make sense. You're like, oh, okay, I understand that, and it goes past because it doesn't. It's not really relevant at that time. And then
yeah.
when you read it back at the time that it is relevant and it really clicks, and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that was even in that book. And I've done that at least 4 times now in that book.
Well,
That's why I actually listen to them again.
Grant Cardone says it, doesn't he? It's one of his things. He says, every time I read or listen to a book, I'm not looking for shed loads of information. I'm looking for
Mm.
that one golden sentence, that one
Exactly.
golden sentence. And if he finds that in a book, it's worth the value for money, because
Absolutely.
one thing can change everything. And
It
I
can
do
change
that.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I do that with most books as well. You just finding one thing, and if you
Mhm.
take action on that one thing, it can really change. I mean, I read a book, and I can't remember what it's called, but what's the where you spend 3 goals, 80% of your time on one, 20% on another, 10% on the third, and you list it in that. I can't remember what it's called, but I read that in a book, and it's changed everything I did.
Well, eat
I
that
didn't take.
frog.
Pardon?
Eat that frog.
No, no, it doesn't sound like a book I would have listened to either, does it? By the way, as I still, I'm not like Muzzie. Muzzie just likes to listen to books that are just, it sounds like they were written 50, 60, 70 years ago. I have to have, there's got to be a little bit of a story in my book, doesn't there, Muzzie? Every time I ask for
Yeah.
suggestions, I ask for
Yeah, it has to
little
be a
bit.
story rather than a lecture. Yes, I know. So when I
Because
recommend books, I have to make sure it's in story form. It's got pictures and drawings and stuff for him to play around with.
it's because the first time I went to London, Jack told me to get Audible and listen to it. So I got Audible. I got some of the I got some tokens. And I bought one book. It was really, really boring to me. So I spent the other 2 tokens on non-fiction books. Um, which one's the one where it's make believe? It's just
The
made up.
fiction one, the
Oh,
sci-fi.
yeah, I was listening to stuff like that on the way home, and I was thinking, I got home and I was like, that's not what Jack meant, was it? To
No,
listen to.
no, it's not part of personal development, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, I pick as well. Yeah, I think that's another good point. Pick books that. So what I do, and I don't know if Muzzy does this. I never spoke to it, but every time I read and listen to a book, I will click the sample first and listen to the person's voice. And 90% of whether I'm going to listen to it or not depends on if I like the person's voice. If they're really slow and boring, um, I just won't listen to it. And that's me being completely honest. It doesn't matter how good the book is. People can sell me on the book and say it's the best book ever, but if I don't like their voice, I'm not listening to it.
You are mad.
Because I won't. I won't. The thing is, I won't. I won't. But this is me just being honest. I won't listen. I know I will not listen to that book because of their
No,
voice. But I
I
won't.
do. I
Yeah,
do actually listen to samples, but they're not because I'm looking for their voice. I'm looking to find out the content because what they put on the sample is usually the best part of the book.
yeah. But I mean, I won't listen to it. Depend if their voice is boring. Because I know I won't take it in. I'll have to read the book. I won't
Yeah.
be able to listen because I'll just be they're listening. I'll be like, right, this is boring me, and I'll just be looking around doing other things.
Well,
So
this is the part I was telling you that you can speed up their voice. You can
yeah.
speed.
It's not even that sometimes. It's how people talk in these books. I don't know. It's probably just me, to be fair, but
Yeah. And I know it's not actually just you, to be fair. My wife does the same thing. Says if the voice is not it's not fun to listen to, then I'm not interested. And she
yeah,
talks about the fact that she actually watches animal stuff because she likes hearing listening to David Attenborough's voice, and it's
yeah,
the voice that actually determines that.
same here.
Crazy. So we're just gonna quickly touch on the benefits then.
Yeah,
um what are the benefits of focusing on your personal development?
inner effort, inner peace. I know it sounds cheesy because people talk about it, but I feel like you're going to find inner peace within yourself
Mhm.
easier. I find, and it's just a massive boost, isn't it? Serotonin released in you after something. When you find that golden gem or when you do that workout, the amount of serotonin released inside you is just
Did you Google that?
what serotonin.
Yeah.
No, I took science, didn't I?
I'm impressed.
But yeah, I mean, it's why I like working out in the morning as well. You feel like, right, I've already achieved something today. And it really pushes you throughout the day, doesn't it? You like,
Yeah.
bang, time to get stuff done.
Yeah. Now this is on the health side in terms of if you actually do your workouts or your exercise, you get this boost of energy, and it feels good. It feels good, doesn't it? You feel good about yourself. But that's the physical side as well. However, there is also the mental side. If you pick up something like what Grant Cardone says, if you actually read a book and you've got that one golden gem in a book and that you can utilize for your business or for yourself, that's a major boost.
Oh
That's a
yeah.
major boost to your self-esteem, to your confidence. It's something that you know, okay, I've just learned something new. You've just personally developed, essentially, and it's a major boost actually, and I think that's one of the major benefits. However, it's something that you can actually synchronize as well with your business, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm just laughing because that just made me think of. I mean, every time we me and Muzzie read the same book a couple of days ago, and it was a really good book. I suggested to him, and we both really enjoyed it. And I'm just laughing because you said you feel confident after you read it, and I can see myself pitching you the book as if I read it, as if I wrote it. I can see myself now, but back to the point I was telling you everything that you've got to read it, mate. You've got to read it. It does this to your mind. As if I wrote the book myself. And I think, yeah, it is true. It does give you a boost of confidence.
And it did, to be fair, it did. I rarely actually get any recommendations and feel the same way that the recommendee actually felt, but I actually felt the same thing. I'm like, do you know what, that was a banger of a book. It was
I'd be
really good.
heartbroken if you come back and said, "Oh, it was awful, Harry," and I'd be heartbroken. We wouldn't be filming this podcast today, and I found a new co-host.
It's like recommending a movie and actually sitting there watching it with the person that you recommended to. Like, watch this, watch this, watch this. Oh, it's brilliant. The other benefits I think is we were talking about this earlier on in terms of how it links with your business. And I mean, I'm a big advocate of the fact that your business is only as good as you. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially at the start. It's only as good as you. If you're limited in your knowledge, if you're limited in your self-belief and limited in your confidence, your business is only going to be traveling at the pace that you believe it can travel. So the
especially
more you actually, yeah, the more you gain that confidence, the more you gain that knowledge, the more you gain an understanding of what you're capable of, your business grows with that as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, property. We always say property is people's business. I've seen people literally with not that much skill, not that much skill in property, but they've sold their business and everyone is jumping on the bandwagon just because they're stupidly smart. And we talked about before, mate, there's some people who come along and they're just so deep in personal development and so good at personal development. They know so much and they're so wise that you just think, yes, yes, I'll do something with you. You just think, yeah, why wouldn't I? And when people ask, what about his previous experience? You don't care about anything like that. The first thing you say is, yeah, but
Exactly.
have you heard him speak? Have you heard his voice or something like that?
That is so true. And usually it's the people that have grown up with that person who are like, why on earth would anyone listen to that geezer? And my wife usually does that, by the way. Like, I will talk through and talk about all of my experiences, and people actually listen in and they learn stuff and they're like, oh, thank you so much and all this. And then my wife will come to me in private and she'll be like, I don't even know why people listen to you. Like, it changes, doesn't it? So as you grow in confidence and you actually you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're doing and what you're about, and you portray that even without actually saying it, without saying that I believe in myself, people can sense it and they will actually automatically believe in whatever it is that you do and say. And but because the people that have watched you in the journey before you started believing in yourself, they look at you now and they're like, I don't know how people even listen to what you say.
What is Muzzie doing on that stage? How did he get up there? Someone called security.
Yeah, some of the posts that I put on social media, I bet some people are like, someone take Muz's phone away, please.
He's been hacked.
He's been hacked again. But yeah, I think that's a major benefit there.
Yeah.
The fact that it's links with your business and the personal development side of it. And I think if I were to go back, I would be looking into developing myself as well as the business, rather than jump straight into the business and then find out the hard way that there's a lot of me that I need to work on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're both doing the book a week challenge.
Yeah.
And thinking back last year, I could be 52 books deep. I could have read half a library if I did that challenge. And it's
Yeah.
massively.
I think it's really good. So the book a week challenge, which is not something that we were planning to do. Someone created it and then we just jumped on it because it's something that will help as well. So
Yeah.
I'm reading a book a week. We've been doing it now for what is it, 4 weeks or so?
But you probably have. I've been doing it for 2 weeks. I jumped on like
It keeps you accountable as well. So you no longer, instead of saying, do I read or do I not read? It's more about which book do I read because I need to be able to do it. By the end of the week, someone is going to be asking me what book I'm reading and I have to summarize it so I can't just make it up.
if I told my younger self that Harry, in a few years you're going to be in a book club and you're going to be reading a book a week, I'd have
You'll
been
be
like,
laughing at yourself like, what are you on about?
You will never catch me in a book club. But I think once you get into the rhythm, it's
It's
holding
good.
it down. Great. It's great.
It is actually really good. I would recommend it. So so if we can just touch on, Harry, the books that ring the highest bell for you right now. If someone were to say, okay, fair enough, I understand the concept of personal development. What do you recommend?
So I recommend.
Oh, by the way, all the noise that that you're hearing in the background, that's the washing machine. This is what you get for recording a podcast in the kitchen.
You can't help it, can we, mate?
Hey.
It's not like we can get a studio or anything at this time with COVID and everything like that.
Exactly, yeah.
But recommendations, Crushing It by Gary Vee, Super Connector, and I mean 4 Hour Work Week as well. I think that's a good one.
Super Connector, 4 Hour Work Week. 4 Hour Work Week, that's Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
Super Connector, that's Scott and Ryan, isn't it? Ryan Poe and Scott Gerber.
Yeah, Gerber, I think, but I can't remember. Powell maybe.
Scott Gerber and Ryan Powell, I think it is. It's Paugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the one by Gary Vee?
Crushing It. I mean, all the Crushing It. Just read all the Crushing It.
Yeah, you're a big fan of Gary Vee anyway, aren't you?
Well, he'll be coming on the podcast in a few years, mate. That is the goal. Like,
he's the one who's coming on episode 100.
Oh, mate.
Speak it into existence, Harry. Episode 100, Gary Vee is going to be here.
Coming on. Big guest for episode 100. What about you then, mate? What's your recommendations?
So in terms of personal development, I wouldn't actually recommend books. I'm going to recommend authors. So all the stuff that they actually write are their quality, man.
It's got to be different.
So I would say Jim Rohn.
Would you?
Definitely. Jim Rohn. Right at the top, I'd say any book that's written by Jim Rohn, you want to be on it. Listen to whatever he says. I've made life-changing decisions based on what Jim Rohn said.
No thought. If Jim Rohn's approved it,
if Jim Rohn's approved it, I'm doing it. It's got a Jim Rohn stamp on it. So you want to listen to Jim Rohn. You want to listen to Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
Yeah. Quality author. Absolutely amazing stories.
I can't listen to him, mate. And for what we said,
I know. At this point, I'm not talking to you, Harry. I'm talking to my listeners. So you want to listen to Dr. Wayne Dyer. You want to listen to Les Brown and Zig Ziglar. So I think that will be a good starter. So Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Jim Rohn.
Some pretty big people there.
Those are big names. Those are big names. If it were up to me, all of them would come on our podcast at some point.
We'll give it a go.
But unfortunately, it's only Les Brown that's left.
Yeah. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do that.
Hey, why not?
But I think personal development is something everyone needs to work on constantly. and we need to work on it massively.
Yeah, we still have a long way to go. I think I have a long way to go to understand a little bit more about who Muzzie is. And at the scary thing is, I know Muzzie more than anyone else, and I still need to understand him a little bit more. Right. So I think we'll come to the end of the podcast. And to be fair, personal development is something that we could actually talk about like forever.
Yeah, you've started on your own now. You could be going for the next 5 or 10 days.
In case anyone's not realized, I do like Jim Rohn quite a lot. But yeah, so we'll come to a close, and again, as usual, massive gratitude. Thank you very much for those that have been listening, and we're still getting more and more listeners in different countries. So really appreciate the support, and for anyone who's actually joined, especially the I Know Nothing About Property Facebook group, massive appreciation for that. Thank you very much. I have no idea what that is.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe as well and leave us a review. It's really appreciated. And yeah, I mean, it just keeps me and Muzzie going.
Harry just wrote something and showed me on camera. I couldn't read it whilst I was talking.
I was trying to remind you to ask people to subscribe.
I have no idea what you're pointing at. Yes, please subscribe. If you enjoy any of our content, please subscribe. Hit the notification button to find out whenever we actually post the next video, and would be really appreciative of that. So hope everyone is well, and we will see you next week.